we're back at it once again. My name is Ricardo, and I'm joined by my great friend Elijah, also known as EP the Great, and we are the host of HBCU Drumline Talk. This is a great podcast where we talk about HBCU drumlines and the culture of HBCUs just in general. And before we even jump on it today and get started, I wanted to say I just recently watched it was a YouTube video, it was a PASIC video, and it was more than a backbeat. And for our viewers out there who are interested in HBCU drumlines and what we actually do and the writers, that was a really good touch up on just the writing styles of HBCU drumline percussionists and the instructors there. And I'd like to personally say my friend EP the Great was on that. You got anything to say about that?
It was a blessing, to let the people know about how HBCUs compose and the reason why we write our stuff. I was glad to be a part. Shout out to Dr. Lamar Longhorn, for inviting me.
Yeah, there's a lot of great information on there. So I suggest or just advise, and just for anybody who's out there interested in how HBCU drumlines work and how the writing aspect takes place for their lines, please dial in. There was a lot of great information on that as well. And today, speaking of that, we have a great guest online. This Professor Cozbia Smith. He serves in two hats as the band director, am I correct, of
yes,
Lane College, and also the drumline instructor. Is that correct as well? Of
yes,
Lane
sir.
College, and that's Bloody Rain. So this episode is all about you, and we're going to jump right on in. And this episode is called The Book of Cause, because we're actually just going to talk about you today. And it's all your show. So before we get started, Cause, tell us about yourself and, give us a good introduction on yourself.
Okay. Cozbia Smith, born and raised Detroit, Michigan. Came out of Cass Tech High School, where my high school band director was a percussionist. I was actually very blessed to have her as early on in my life, and she really shaped my idea of what percussion can be. I was actually started out as a trumpet player. I played trumpet from like 2nd through 8th grade. My 7th and 8th grade year, I was trumpet section leader. And 8th grade year, we started a marching band. And that very first time they lined us up in blocks of 4-man across, and the drums came in on beat 1, my head did like this. And at the end of that day, I went right to the band director and was like, "Hey, Mr. Love," his name was Sandy Love. I was like, "Hey, I want to play the drums." He was like, "Absolutely not. You the best trumpet player we got. Like, you the trumpet section leader, such and such." So I would, after practice, drummers stay afterward. I would just stand there and watch, play on my legs, learn all the tenor drum parts. So I wanted to play tenor. And he would never let me switch. So I got to high school, and they were starting a marching band. And she said, "What do you play?" And I said, "The drums."
Yeah. That's good, man.
And I hadn't looked back.
No, it's good. I think we all have a similar story where we all wanted to, say, "Hey, look, I want to play drums." "Hey, but you're good at this. I think you want to do this." And then we get a final opportunity to really be good at what we want to do. So Thank you for that introduction.
No problem.
All right, so we can go ahead and jump right on in. Please talk with us about the name Bloody Rain. How did Lane's Drumline get that name?
Okay, so in 2015, when we started we revamped the program at Lane for a quarter century before I got there. The prior president didn't really, he wasn't an advocate for music. I just say that. Mm-hmm. And we got this new president in 14, Dr. Logan Hampton, and he's an advocate for the students. And the students wanted a, band program. He wanted to build one. So I got hired in. I left Alcorn State, got hired in to build a band program. And the name Quiet Storm has always rang in my head since I was a little kid in Detroit. It came on at night, the Quiet Storm little theme song.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of stuck. And then it was a monumental program out of Detroit that got closed down. It was a K through 8 school that was known for plenty of musicians. So I just kind of took that name with me. And when we started to name the sections in the band, I said, hey, all the sections got to be affiliated with a storm, affiliated with just a natural disaster.
Okay.
And me and the founders, the section at that time was just having conversations, bouncing names off of each other. And, you know,
that was it.
That was it. Brandon Walker and Keelan Ramsden.
Okay, nice.
That's good. So you guys came up with the name Bloody Rain, and that has stuck. So since 2015 to now, Lane's Drumline is known as Bloody Rain, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's really good to hear that you guys had some administration that was behind and for the students at that point. And, you know, going from 2015 to now, it seems like it's the ball is now rolling. You guys are going full force at this point. And for your incoming freshmen, you know, obviously that are interested in becoming a member of your drumline, what expectations do you have of those incoming freshmen in joining your band and also Bloody Rain, the drumline?
Okay. So I look at it twofold. As a percussionist and as a band director.
Right.
As a percussionist, I'm looking at my percussion majors differently than I look at the regular members of the drumline, because I feel like if at this point, if you're not really invested into being a percussionist, I can't make you. I just can't make you. But I believe they have a different type of value. Right. So I look at those people as what I call specialists. So I have a different scholarship, which is a lower amount that I would give a specialist, because I can't just drop them into any ensemble and not worry about them. Those folks will get a different scholarship. So I offer like 2 different levels based on your skill set.
Yeah, I like that. And that's a good point that you make. So if students coming in as just, hey, look, I want to march in the drum line. I'm not particularly interested in being a percussion major, but hey, look, you know, I still have an opportunity to get some help if I want to be in the drum line. Those folks that are interested in being a percussion major, you know, you look at them in a different light, correct?
Yeah. So, and where I get that from is, I don't want to say unfortunately, but unfortunately for the way that some people look at it, and fortunately for others, like we have people that make a lot of money reading music, but we have actually more people who don't read music who make a ton of money. And that's why I say it's value both ways. So if you're going in this day and age, we really can't force kids to do much. We can encourage them, we can motivate them, we can give them all the skills. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be any less productive in their life. So I try to put them in a situation where we can learn from each other, grow from each other, and just really have fun together. Really have fun.
Yeah, you're right. All we can do is give them the tools. It's up to them, you know, learn how to use them tools. Yeah.
Because nowadays with this YouTube, man, they can go and with these smart TVs, they slow stuff down, watch it 2 million times before they get to you, and swear up and down they know your material.
Yeah.
You know, that's you bring up a good point there. And like you said, now, you know, and I think all 3 of us come from the same group of folks. And when I say age range, relative age range, where we didn't have that opportunity. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, you know, the smart TVs where you can slow things down. The best thing that we had was the the VHS tape, and you pop that tape, you watch it enough, that's it. Yeah. But outside of that, it was like, you got one chance to catch this, because I might not see you again until next year. Yeah. And if we're in the same hometown, and what are the chances of that? Like my boys going off to such and such college and I'm at here, that would probably be the only chance I see you. You know, and we could probably change off, exchange what we do on our different respective lines. So good point there. And I have been watching Bloody Rain and Lane for quite some time, and I've been keeping up. And I just want to say you've done an amazing job. That's all I can say about that.
Number one, thank you. But
Yeah.
the key is, and I know I'm in a unique situation because I am a percussionist. The key is, it's not just me. I got amazing kids.
Yeah.
And I really try to showcase what they can do.
Exactly.
I mean, it is all about, at Lane, it is all about the students. I done did my time. I done paved my, I done put my steps in my footprints in the snow already. Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm just opening up different avenues so kids can use their gifts, like I did.
Yeah.
I didn't march my youth.
That's great. And that's a good thing there. So that pretty much segues into, it seems like you have your own philosophy and how you do things at Lane. And I'd like to expound on that. When it comes to your marching percussion, what you do, what is your philosophy? And how do you allow your philosophy to be applied to the kids there?
Okay, so going back to high school, it was at Cass Tech. I know this is what most people would call an optional school. You kind of test to get into, and you actually pick a major. So at the school, when I was there, we had 70-something majors. And initially I picked computer science, but then in the middle of 10th grade, I changed to vocational music. And then we took college style courses. Like I took harp, I took piano, I took music theory, I took music history. We had 17 different ensembles, like 11 different teachers in the department. And this is at high school. So one of the classes that I took was a percussion class taught by the band director. And in that class, we literally had to learn and study the different facets of percussion instruments and perform, go to solo and ensemble. She taught us the importance of creating your own material. But in order for us to play it, you had to write it out. So then it was a seed planted on the importance of writing things out. So for me, when I got to college and went through the stuff that I was going through, because the college band directors didn't necessarily have the same philosophy, so I stayed getting put out the band. Literally, I stayed getting put out the band. It wasn't for hazing. We had a difference in philosophy on how to get the best out of the section.
Yeah.
And I felt like at the time that I knew what I was talking about. So the things that I'm actually doing now are things that I couldn't do in college.
Gotcha.
So take that part. And then I look at the drum section like it's a band. Mm-hmm. When you look at the different voices, you got the cymbals got a voice, snares got a voice. Mm-hmm. If you use tonals, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 voices. Yep. If you use a tenor line, that's a voice. Mm-hmm. Where we use chest tenors or leg tenors, that's a voice. And if you count all those different voices, that's a band.
Yeah,
that's an individual band. So that's my outlook on how to write. I write for the percussion like it's a band, or I teach how to think like you're a band. Okay. And your band has to complement the horn players. Mm-hmm. Now at Lane, it just so happens that more kids believe in that philosophy that play drums than that play horns. So I get a boatload of drummers. I get a boatload of percussionists. So that's how we write. And then a lot of people say, well, you're not supposed to play that much. Says who?
Yeah. Says who? It's your program, right?
Right. Like every Michael Jackson did things a specific way that wasn't nobody else doing. Prince did the same thing. Like every great musician, great leader of a band, Duke Ellington did things a certain way that was different from everybody else.
Yep.
So for me, this is that thing. And I've only grew up poor, only went to like 2 concerts before the age of 18. And I remember when I went to Salt and Pepper concert, and how the music felt.
Mhm.
You know, it was the track, but it wasn't, you know, and I love that live band feeling. So when I teach my percussionists how to come up with parts that sound like you at a live performance,
Okay.
not on a track.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because those live performances create different moments. When you remember it, it's going to make you feel different than the actual song.
Yeah.
So we're going to stick out in your memory for a different reason, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Got you.
You know, Cos, I think I just want to give you applause, man, right now, because you said something that was really critical in this whole picture that's bigger than, you know, drumming itself. You know, in college, you have these ideas and you have somebody that's really shooting you down and you're getting put out the band constantly for this. And that could be a major deterrent for somebody that's in music. And that could be like, well, I don't even want anything to do with this. I mean, every time I come to the table with some ideas, you know, these guys are shooting me down. I don't even want anything to do with it, but I commend you for seeing it through. And here we are today, and you got your own thing. You run your program. Good job, man.
Yeah.
And thanks, man. It was rough because, you know, when you, especially percussionists and drummers, like, we love the band, I feel like, more than the horn players, because we don't ever stop playing.
Nope.
We don't ever stop, you know, being looked at.
Right.
So it was some tough times in college. It was some tough times. Dropped out, you know, left school for 2 years in the middle of undergrad.
Wow.
Yeah. So trying to run away from it. But, you know, and I was telling my methods course, my instruments 2 course last week, actually, you know, education sometimes takes 10 years to get to, for you to get what you're supposed to get out of it. Sometimes it takes 10 years in order for you to understand why you're going through what you're going through. And it's our job to be diligent and disciplined enough to see it through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not about when you get it. You just got to get it. You know,
You just got to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back 2 years ago, you know, when you guys came, you know, on Virginia State's campus for the battle, and we was, you know, we was on our side of the band building, you know, getting in block band ready to march down. You guys was marching already down. You marched past us, and I couldn't get out of my head, man, how well the drums sounded, you know. And then once we got down to the stadium, you know, in that little dome, I guess, and the echo, you know, I tell a lot of people that the sound was, you know, was nice. So so I just want to know, I guess, please discuss your tuning methods, you know, for snare, bass, tenor drum, etc.
Okay. So number one, you got to I always stay flexible. And the reason I stay flexible is because I remember, you know, tuning the drums, going into the Titan Stadium, tuning the drums, going into the Southern Heritage Classic, and the weather would be different, and that would affect the sound. And I couldn't understand why we didn't have the sound that we wanted in those performances. Mm-hmm. So the notes I'm going to give you is the basis, and the climate changes. So I always adjust. So with the 30-inch bass drums, I normally tune to around F.
Okay.
The 28s I tune to G. But I also use, you know, specific heads. Like, we use fiber skin heads, but it's a specific fiber skin that we use too, because they're different.
Okay.
Reading those, reading the comments on the back of the drum heads, it tells you what they're made for, you know, what they emphasize. That's important.
Yeah.
So a lot of band directors, they don't know what they want. They know what they want the section to sound like. They can't give you a pitch. They just know, I just like this type of sound. I want this drum to have this type of sound. So I would get that question all the time as a high school band director in Detroit or a high school band director in Memphis. Like, I would always get, how do you, you know, I want my drum section to sound different from yours. You know, what heads do I need? So that really pushed me to understand the different the different size heads, the different sounds of the heads, even beyond what I just wanted to know, because I wanted to help my friends out.
Yeah.
And when I started to do that, I started to find stuff that I liked.
Okay.
And then when I went to Alcorn, they tuned totally different in Mississippi. They tuned totally different. So I learned some things there, especially with my tenors. So we use specific heads by like 3 different companies.
Okay.
You know, which is, you know, get frowned upon. You're supposed to stay with one company. Well, I got to stay with one company. That company is paying me.
Yeah. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we use a different head on tenors. And I tuned my tenors to E, a flat, not E flat, but a flat E.
Okay.
Because tenor drummers are normally extremely aggressive, so they're gonna get out of tune anyway.
Yes.
So into that E flat.
Yeah.
Snares, I try to go to A flat.
Okay.
Try to tune around A flat. But the heads that we use, these are the best heads, and I try to tell everybody about these heads because everybody can use them and we can all sound different. The Black Max, the Black X heads by Remo, they will go as low as the sound of a Southern drum line to as high as a DCI drum line.
Okay.
And it'll hold a pitch, and that drum head will last. It is the best investment of a drum head that I've ever purchased.
Gotcha.
I know kids that'll go through a Power Stroke 7.7 in a series.
Yeah.
Like beat the head all the way through. They put them on them Black X's, they're gonna last a season.
Yeah. See, a lot of things. Weather plays a part. Also, the reason why heads bust fast. That plays a part. Yeah, good stuff though, man.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, and for anyone who's out there, our guests, our viewers who are watching this, and I think Elijah, you and I have talked about this time and time again. For anyone who has just getting a band or instructors out there who have these drum lines that they're just starting out with, you got to know what you want to do. Those heads are specific. You can get the sound out, but you got to do your research on what type of heads you use. And Cos, thank you for being unselfish and saying, hey, look, this is what I use here to get the sound that we use. My sound may not work for what you want, but make sure you look on the back of those Remo drum head boxes to really narrow in what you want to get out of that. Not only that, just make sure you have someone around who knows the tech part of it in tuning the right to get the sound that you want. So I think that just watching you guys, and I've watched Bloody Rain quite often, and balancing the sound of your drum line, I noticed that you guys have a real overall sound, but there's a couple of things that I noticed. You'll use the chest tenors, and then every once in a while you'll use like the quints or quads, whichever ones you guys, I think you guys are using quints at this point in time. Sometimes you'll use them, sometimes you won't use them. Could you discuss why, and how do you use the balance of that sound to balance the both of them?
Some of that was actually by accident. The first section that I kind of had to start over with since I got there at in Lane and 15 was the quints. So part of what happened was because I had to go back and kind of start over with them as the rest of the section progressed, because I kind of lost that whole section after 15, pretty much. So part of that we just kind of fell into. But I have a philosophy of, again, that live band sound. So if you notice in our arrangements, when a band is going, full force, and you normally just take the percussion out, and just let the band just open up. That's normally when the band has the most tempo problems. So what I tend to do is I never stop my quints from playing at that point, because they'll never overpower the band. They will always tend to keep the time, and then to keep the aggression going along with the groove. Okay. So during those sections, my quints is going at it, and I tell them, as loud as you want, because they never overpower the band. Quince never overpowered the band.
No.
So I just let them go. You know what I'm saying? And it helps. Tenors, man, I've been blessed with some of the best tenors with hands. Like I know at least 3 or 4 different tenor drummers that play chest tenors that had snare drum hands legitimately.
Right.
And the little guy that people, Dion Jones, the little bitty short guy that everybody know that's been in the front for years with he got dreads.
Snare drum, right? No.
That's Brandon.
Okay.
The Brandon later. Dion, little bitty dude on tenor, is one of the most creative minds that I have ever been around.
Yeah.
And he came up with a lot of that tenor drum stuff. Me and then, I need to say this. Jeff Thomas, when I got there in 15, I hired as the percussion instructor to come in to teach the drum section whenever I was in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jeff Thomas is somebody I went to Tennessee State with. That's the guy I go to for stuff dealing with my hands.
Okay.
Jeff he's an overall great guy. Is in his blood. He's like second, third generation percussionist. His whole family is known for Memphis and drums. So trusting him, having him there helped out a whole lot.
Okay.
A whole lot. Him being from Memphis, I had a lot of cats from Memphis. So he related differently to him. Yeah. Me and him had a great relationship, and we understood percussion a lot. It's, similar. We had some, we worked together for years too. So having him there to help teach the mind how to create. Because at this point, I ain't gonna lie, I don't create too much in percussion anymore.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because I believe that it's easier to teach 20 people how to come up with it than it is for me to come up with everything.
Yeah.
They have more time on their hands and they want to create. So you just teach them how to do it and give them the opportunity to go create and come back. We have a system in place where if you want to introduce, the cadences, because all the cadences that we play, they're writing.
Okay.
They're creating.
Okay.
When we started in 15, I had some signature cadences from Detroit. I even took one of them to Alcorn that we played. And when I got down there, when I got to Lane, and I was like, hey, I got a couple signature cadences that we could play. And I want to see how y'all feel about it, But like I said, I'm all about them. And I know they wanted to have a certain type of identity. So it was a whole lot of discussion. I mean, we talked a great deal. Me and those founders in 15, we talked a great deal starting that summer because it was a risk. All them cats could have went anywhere and made anybody's drum line.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, me and Vince, that's at Kahoma now. Another percussion mind. Y'all might want to get on the show. Vince Smith out of Memphis. He was at Whitehaven. He still works with Whitehaven and with Kahoma.
Yeah.
He helped me to convince a lot of those cats that, hey, we about to change the game.
Okay.
And I knew from working in Memphis, the previous 5 years that they had that type of talent if I could focus and give them the right type of opportunity. So we talked and talked and talked, and we ended up, they ended up coming and man, we just literally have been just making history.
Okay. Nice.
So that's good, man. You're just giving us a lot of good things to think about at this point. And like I said, I've been watching Bloody Rain for quite some time. And for someone who's of the craft and a percussionist as well, who marched in the drum lines and everything, we take a look and we look at things a little bit differently. And I just want to give you a compliment like, hey, you're using the chest tenors here. It sounds really good. Another video I'll go look at. Okay, wait, he added the quints in here. It sounds good as well with everybody. So good for you. Thank you. And you've done a good job with that. And like I said, the kids are also well enthused and they have put together a great product out there as well.
And the other part to that answer, let me go back to that. So drum set. I noticed when playing drum set, a lot of times snare and cymbal would always be locked. And in my eyes, the cymbals is always the most important part of the drum set because it's the one that keeps the time. Yes. So my cymbal parts are always intricate. They're always complex. They're always melodic parts. So when I do that, and when your cymbals are strong enough, you can kind of just let them go and think without it. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of that in our parts too. Okay. And I do a lot of, hey, let me take that out. Mm-hmm. Give me that, take that out. Oh, hold on, let me add this. And we'd be in sectionals on rehearsal. And that's how certain parts would come up. Yeah. So I just do, a lot of trial and error. You like it, keep it. If you don't, try something different. Yeah. Yeah. I don't be scared to try.
Yeah. Certain games, like before the games, we warming up. I'm like, hey, cymbals, take that part out, add this right before the game,
Yeah.
Like, trial and error, just having fun. Never know.
Yeah, because the thing is, if the kids can retain it and they like it, it's probably something you need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just most band directors are scared. They're intimidated by doing it because they don't know as much. Yeah. And the last thing you want your drummers to know is that you don't know nothing about them drums. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't want them to actually know that.
Yep. You're right. Okay. So me, being a arranger, composer, I find myself listening, to Lane's videos, Bloody Rain's videos, and bumping my head, So I guess when it comes to martial percussion, how would you describe your writing style?
Aggressive.
Aggressive.
It's just aggressive. When I think about drums, I think about where they came from, and they were meant to communicate. Yes. And they were meant to communicate at great distances. That's just the history of it. Yeah. So I think the more you pull away from the intent of it, you pulling away from the purpose of it. Like you take away from it. That's not to say to not control it, but it was meant to communicate a feeling. It was meant to communicate. So that's what I try to do. I try to communicate a musical thought. And I try to make the most out of those thoughts, not just on a line, but on each individual line, which means, each individual player has to interpret it the same way. But I'm also in the process of getting a cadence approved, like in our section, we got a process. If you want to make up something, you got to join a section. You got to learn. You got to sit there at least for a semester and learn how we come up with the things that we come up with. Because if you listen to the song parts, like the song part sometimes is as busy as cadences can be. Yeah. But if you go to see a live band playing, he's normally playing that much. Like if you get to what's the guy? Tony Royster plays a lot. Yes. He plays a lot when he's on drum set. You know what I'm saying? And the artists he plays behind, they don't really, they don't really care because it's not overshadowing. So I feel like if I can do that and keep the volume down and get that type of feeling, that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So I just try to stay aggressive, try to do something a little bit different. Okay. And just kind of stay true to who we are. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that.
Let me just say this, and you bring. I think that one word, aggressive, pretty much sums that up. Because if I were to say, if someone were to come to me and say, "Hey, Ricardo, what do you think about Bloody Rain Lane's Drumline?" I'd probably say, "Man, they're aggressive. They're powerful. They're just real powerful and aggressive. That's aggressive is the right word that I would use for that."
All right, so I'm gonna travel back in time again, to our battle, VSU versus Lane. It's said in I guess a percussion group, I'm in, that two different styles. What's the purpose? They shouldn't battle because VSU is whatever core style, whatever. So I guess, what do you think about battles with style differences? You know, do you feel it's a purpose or a waste of time? You know, to me, I enjoyed the battle with Bloody Rain. I loved it. But how do you feel?
Man, those are battles we need more of.
Yeah.
They just flat foot we need more of. Why do we have the Grammys?
Yeah.
Like, you putting different genres of music against each other and saying which one is better and which one isn't.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean that the other section is less than. It just means that they're different.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a culture in music, specifically drums, that people they cannot give accolades to somebody else without feeling like it takes away from themselves.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, man, and Elijah will tell you, man, we had said we were going to do something specific. And when we got there, Ricardo, like, I had 2 quint players that year. One got left and the other one left his harness. So
yeah,
we had a whole, what y'all call a block together.
Yeah.
We had a whole prepared, like, I wrote the hell out of that block. That was my thing. That was going to be me there. That we couldn't even play because we didn't have a quint player for that specific night.
Yeah.
So what people don't see on the tape is that very first cadence that we played was just something to get us through, because I knew. I'm a percussionist. I've been watching V-State. I've been watching the schools and on the East Coast for decades. I knew what we were going up against.
Yeah.
And I told Brandon, the section leader, that day, when we got there and figured out that Malcolm didn't have his harness, I was like, look, this is going to be the game plan. And I was like, we're going to have to just straight go Bloody Rain.
Yeah.
Because that's all we got at this point. That first round, we're going to take an L. But after that, we got to hit him extra hard.
Yeah.
He looked at me. He was like, Prof, man, they going to blow us out the water. I said, Brandon, that first round, they going to get us. Because, I mean, it ain't nothing we can do. Because the block we made had two significant quint solos in it.
Yeah.
And it was like a whole big old block of just different stuff moved that we could not do. So after that first round, it was like, you know, I looked at him and then it just worked.
Yeah.
But I look at it too. I'm a huge sports fan. Most guys are. I always look at it as, in a battle, you got to play offense and you got to play defense. And in my eyes, and I could be wrong, it's hard for me to find clips. I haven't seen a lot of clips of the schools on the East Coast really going head to head.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah. It's always an offensive battle. Like, you go out there and do a showcase. You know, that's a whole different feeling than a battle.
Yeah.
You know, jabbing and sparring, training, you know, going in there, it's different than when somebody else is in there and can get back with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like anything else, just like the band, you study the band. You know, you look at their history, what they known to do, what they don't do, and you take advantage.
Yeah.
So when we go to battles, I don't care who you are. If I can get 2 weeks, I like my chances.
Yeah. Like I said, I felt it was a good battle. You know, I even learned some stuff, you know, from watching you guys. You know, I haven't really seen, I guess, too many, drum lines in that style. You know, we've seen Savannah State, Rick, back in the day.
Yeah.
And they had somewhat of a different style back then to what they do now.
But I was just about to say that the Savannah State EP that you and I saw is not the Savannah State that's happening right now.
Yeah. It was more of, I guess, you know, swag style. It's not. I know it's not a whatever term, but it's more of that style than what they are now. But yeah, when I saw Lane, you know, I learned a lot. You know, like I said, the sound, the aggressiveness, the powerfulness. You know, I thought it was a good battle. But you know, some people are like, you know, well, 2 different styles, blah blah blah.
But I think that's a cop-out when people say it's 2 different styles. They just can't. They themselves, I don't think, have the knowledge in order to pick a winner, because they just hear beats.
Yeah.
They just loud. They just playing a whole lot. They just beat. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a conversation about a drum battle with them.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, there's a lot of people that play instruments that think like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
Well, you guys are on a good conversation because we go back to our inaugural episode, and that battle that we're talking about right now was, one of the pre-COVID battles that we think were important at that point. And that Lane and Virginia State battle did make the cut, and we did talk about that battle. Cause if you get a chance to check that out, you can go back to that episode and look at it. But like you were saying, if you have certain folks that are not of the craft and are looking at it from a specific angle, they're really missing the gist of it. And I personally, I loved it. I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was. I was looking forward to it. I mean, I really was. I did an interview with Vince on his station, on his V-Rock station, and he asked me what was my most memorable moment. And for me as a band director, that weekend, I said today was my most memorable moment because it was the moment where I felt like I took something that I started to a whole different region.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I never seen or heard before, maybe never seen or hear from again, loved what we did.
They loved it. Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. I can remember standing on the battle, hearing the alumni, hearing the student body's comments, about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, they really love this.
Yeah.
Digging this.
Yeah, that's funny that you would say this. And there were probably two conversations that took place. One with the Drumline, which was, hey, man, you guys did phenomenal. And then you probably had a separate total conversation with those two those two core players, two different conversations. So,
yeah. So, I guess, and then, I been hearing this in this particular group, on Facebook, and it's mainly from the East Coast, percussionists, drummers. I guess the concept behind the solos during the battle, when the snares might pop up, well, y'all play as a whole, and the snares might do something in the tenors and the bass. Some people say, why not put the solos into a cadence? So I guess, what's the concept behind,
Well, we can, and we do that at times.
I would say not just you guys. I guess it's other schools that does the same format also. See what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I get it. From my standpoint is I don't want to keep doing the same thing the same way.
Yeah.
Because then you become predictable.
Yeah.
And in a battle, I'm trying to create advantages as well.
Okay.
And I'm trying to create disadvantages.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I look at the drum section like a band.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people complain too much in the middle of, and it doesn't happen that much, but in the middle of a song when the trumpets get a solo, or the trombones have a solo.
Yeah.
Some songs start off with a section playing a solo, and then it goes into the song.
Yeah.
We just do it more.
Mm-hmm.
We have done it more for, sometimes just to piss people off.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And if it's our time to play, you can't dictate to me what I should be playing.
Yeah.
And I can't dictate to you how to use your time to showcase what you want to showcase.
Yeah.
It's just people want to control, what they can't control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I won't allow somebody to put us in a box like that.
Yeah. But I teach my guys the same way. I guess if we battling, they take too long to tap it off. Let's go, keep it going, tap something else off, But no, like I said, I heard that question, why not put it in the cadence? So I just thought I would bring it up, that's why I guess a lot of schools do that format, which is not a bad thing, but just
But I think too, it goes to in the South they battle more. Like they do more head-to-head battles. On the East Coast, I feel like y'all do more showcases. And in a showcase, it's not looked at the same. You can throw the solos in wherever you want to for however long and whatever format you want to, and people won't receive it a certain way. But if you do that with somebody in front of you, they think you're doing something different. Like you're not supposed to do that. Shit, why? Why not?
You're right. Okay.
Well, there again, it goes back to the philosophy, and I liked it. It's almost like what you just said. I want to create an advantage, and I want to create a disadvantage. So it's like a chess match. You're playing. I'm creating an advantage on my end. I'm giving you a disadvantage here. I got the advantage here. Next thing you know, I take over the whole show. Next thing you know, Bloody Rain is all folks are talking about it. Right after the match. So it's good.
That's it, Ricardo.
So good.
And the thing is, if you have to, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But if you present for one, like it don't even have to be your section. If you can just attend one, like down there in the meat of it, like when the sections are down there, that atmosphere is totally different.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It is totally different. So it's hard to explain people how to prepare for that if they've never been in that.
Yeah. Hopefully once COVID is over with, me and Rick, when we're doing some traveling, different games, but just got to wait till this, stuff is over with.
COVID is destroying a lot of programs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay on this for a couple of moments at this point. So Coz, as a percussionist and as an instructor as well, are you letting the kids, when it's time for them to battle, do you step back, or have you beforehand said, hey, look, here's the game plan, A, B, and C, we're doing this, or do you say, you guys have worked hard, I'm stepping back, I'm removed from the situation?
95% of the time I'm stepping back, but I'm stepping back because we've had conversation from the time you've been in this section on how to handle battles. Like we have film study and practice some days at the end of getting ready for It Ain't No Secret in our band. Getting ready to go on the East Coast. I have personally never been on the East Coast to play anybody. The closest I played was in '97 when my first year getting kicked out of TSU band. I went to the game in Circle City Classic with TSU and NCAT. But that drum section was totally different than what we see now.
Right.
So that was the closest I'd been to battling somebody from the East Coast. So I had to go study. I had to go do my research. And what I found was, hey, I need to prepare my kids mentally for that. So we would have at the end of practices, hey, this is it. We'll talk about it, and we'll talk about the different things, the different tactics that we'll use, some of the cadences that we would want to play, some that we didn't want to play, based on the opponent. Because every time you see us, we have a different list. Some cadences just work for almost everything. They're just good showcases. But we have strategic cadences that's meant to attack sections that look or sound a certain way.
Gotcha.
Again, that's that offense versus defense philosophy. Like when I know what you have, if I know you got KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, I need to go attack your bigs. I need to leave that backcourt alone.
That's smart. That's smart. It comes down to doing your research. Going. I love that.
That's good, man. So for our viewers out there, just in regards to HBCUs in general, HBCU drumlines, we have what we call the SWAC, we have the SEAC, we have the MEAC, and we have the CIAA. All different sounds as well. So it's a couple of independent folks out there as well. And Coz, I just got to ask, how do you feel about the state of HBCU drumming right now?
I think it is at its most liveliest that I've ever seen it. I do love the different directions that different sections are taking. But I think we need to do more cross conference battling.
Yeah.
That way you see somebody you ain't never saw or you hadn't seen in the last 3, 4, 5 years. You got to prepare different.
Yeah.
If I see you every year, it's like, again, sports, the people in your conference, in your division, you see them the most. People on the other side, like those are people that's going to cause the most problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it forces both sides to constantly have their A game, constantly, hopefully think outside of the box to prepare different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some people don't want to do that. Some people, hey, look, this is what we do, and this is what it's going to be.
I mean,
I think that just is, it just like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some people want to stay in that box, and I'm not saying who that is. I'm just saying that, hey, just that's what it is. We like what we do. We're going to do this. We don't want to see anybody else. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like I don't think that there's a right or a wrong answer.
Yeah.
If that works for you and your program, hey, keep going. That's fine. Do you? You know what I'm saying? I totally get it. I don't think any less of it. But everybody has preferences. Everybody has things that they would like to see. And for me, that's what I believe. I believe if you keep seeing the same things, doing the same things, you're going to keep generating the same thing. And if that's what you want, then you keep that going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in order to grow, you got to look at different things, see different things.
Yeah.
Like, you was born in whatever city, you got to get out this city, see things, to grow as a person. You can't stay in the city forever,
Yeah. You got to get out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And just off the topic here, I'm curious, Cos, what did you play? What did you play in your what did you play in college?
My major instrument was snare, but as far as I know, I was the first, if not one of the first, to actually perform on every percussion instrument at TSU, and which was the same at high school. Because again, when I lied to get in the drum section, I was holding the sticks backwards because I didn't know how to hold the sticks, and it was more comfortable. Didn't nobody teach me anything, so she put some sticks in my hand. I did what I saw, but I made it comfortable for me. So she switched my grip around. So you really can't play, son. You get them cymbals over there. But I wanted to play tenor initially. But then I started seeing the girls wanted the snare drummers. So you know what? I want to play snare. So I went from cymbals to bass to tenor for like 2 weeks. And then I ended up going to Quince with quads at the time.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want, I had a smart mouth, heavy attitude. And like my section leader, like 9th and 10th grade, his name at the time was Ali Muhammad. His name now is Ali Jackson. He's been, he was Witten Marcellus drum set player.
Wow.
Who Witten hired fresh out of high school.
Okay.
So imagine how good he was.
Yeah.
In high school for Witten Marcellus in the early 90s, because he graduated in 93.
Okay.
To hire him in 93.
Wow.
So going from there, I learned a little bit, definitely learned a lot from him. And then my last semester, switching to snare. So I only played snare in high school officially for like a semester. And I got the TSU and snare drum. And then second year, we had some issues, kids getting kicked out, such and such. They heard that me and my best friend could play bass drum. And it was backtrack. Freshman year, we played Fan for Homecoming. The homecoming pep rally is the only injury I've ever had. And that was when I broke my first finger doing the funk train when I hit my finger on the drum. So when I hit my finger on the drum, the fingernail got pushed through my bone and my bone came out this part of the finger.
Mhm.
So why is that significant? Because I had to earn my scholarship.
You was bringing some power, man. You did all that. You was bringing some power, cow.
I was trying to, it was a funk train, you know, I'm trying to show out for the girls, you know, you do your
See, that's what happens right there. Yeah. The girls.
and it happened. But me and the percussion instructor had a rigid relationship already.
Right.
And he was like, you got to earn your scholarship, son. And I was like, I can't play. Like my fingers in a cast. They told me I was out for 6 weeks. Why is that significant? Because he said, you have to write out everybody's part to everything.
Ooh.
That's how you going to earn your scholarship.
Okay.
And what that did was taught me everybody's part.
Yeah.
So the next year, fast forward, the next year they saying, hey, they need some bass drums to help keep time because the tempo wasn't wasn't being consistent on the field. And you know, at the Southern Heritage Classic, like you give you a specific time. So the tempo got to stay up. So the Wednesday before the game, they's like, hey, we're going to switch you to bass drum. What you mean? We see Jackson on Saturday. It's Wednesday. I'm not switching to bass drum. Well, I got to switch to bass drum. And that's like, well, just do it for today. I get on bass drum that day. That tempo was locked. The momentum, not the momentum, the energy was up.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, oh, yeah, you're not coming back to snare drum.
Yeah.
What you mean? And he got me. So I was stuck on bass drum for like 6-7 weeks until the freshmen could really keep time and move the way that they wanted to. And then I was able to switch back with like 2 games left in the season. But throughout pep band, when you got those kids that don't want to do spring ensembles, you know, I had to play tenor drum. I know all the parts. You know, had to play cymbals for performances because cymbal players weren't showing up. I knew all the parts. So
it's a blessing messing your finger up because, like you said, you get to write out parts and you learn some stuff. So
yeah, man. I'm gonna stay on this a little bit longer. I have a couple questions for you myself, and do you prefer? Let me step back. What do you prefer, chest tenors or leg tenors?
Okay,
what do you like?
The history for me is I never played in a section that had chest tenors. So every section I've had has chest tenors. When I was in middle school, we had leg tenors. When I was in high school, we had leg tenors. When I was at Tennessee State, we had leg tenors. So when I got my own programs, I wanted to personally do something different because that was going to be a challenge for me. So every section I've ever had chest tenors. So I prefer to teach chest tenors, but I played with leg tenors.
Okay. So, Cos, my bad. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I guess is chest tenors like a new thing, for us being introduced? I mean, I was never a big tenor person. But I'm trying to think back to when we was in school, Rick. If we did see tenors, we saw mostly leg tenors.
Mostly leg tenors, and that was very rare.
So is chest tenors more, I guess, a new thing, or it's always been?
It's always been there. I think it's more prominent now because we do have YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
But every time when I was in high school, a lot of the other sections had chest tenors. Okay. And I was in Detroit. I know the history of Southern, they've had chest tenors. Jackson has chest tenors. Actually, the history of TSU, they used to have chest tenors. So they've always been there. They just probably wasn't as, on the forefront as they are now.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, Cos, I know, and like I said, I've been watching Bloody Rain for quite some time now, and you guys have seen a lot of people. You guys have, like you said, that aggressive style, you guys have seen and played against a lot of people at this point. And think back to, the battles that you have had, and you've had a lot over the years, especially with Bloody Rain. What is the one battle, if you had to do it over again, what's that one battle that you would want to redo?
I wouldn't want to redo none of them. The only thing I would want to do is make sure that we didn't leave Moses and that Malcolm got his chest tenor. I mean, his harness, because I had that way we could have displayed what we worked on that very first round. That was it.
So that's good. That says a lot about what you have done with the program and what the kids are doing with the program. You know, every battle is, hey, we did what we needed to do. There wasn't really too much room for error there. We just came, handled business, and like you said, we moved, advantage, disadvantage. Next thing you know, people are talking about us. Next thing you know, we walk away feeling good. So good. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump into a bonus question for you real quick. And the bonus question, Cos, is if you had to get your hands on any HBCU drumline for a month, and you could pick your choice, who would you want to get your hands on?
I don't even have to think about it. It's Norfolk, $1 Million Funk Squad. I would love to get my hands on them for a month.
Get your hands on them.
Love to. Okay. To me, they have been the model of consistency for like 4 or 5 decades. I know since the 70s. Just a model of consistency, whether you like them or not. You know, and again, their style isn't my preference, but I'm a musician. I'm a percussionist. I appreciate great music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they presentation be on point. They always sound good. They always playing some challenging material. You know, they think outside the box in their own way. You know, love that section. I would love to get a hold of them for a month.
Well, there you have it, folks. If he had a month, he would love to get his hands on them.
I say between Norfolk and Bethune, you know, they have been the most consistent, you know, for a while.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion, you know.
No. I mean, I could see that. I could definitely see that too. I remember when I was in college, how good they were.
Yeah.
And that was in the 90s. I just don't go back. For me, I don't know their history, going back past that far.
Yeah.
But we seen them in 15 that first year, boy. We did see them in 15.
Good. All right. So very good cast today, very good information, history. But sorry we have come to an end. But we would like to thank, Professor Coz for taking time out this day, to be a guest on HBCU Drumline Talk. Do you have any last words or comments?
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
No,
wait, we almost forgot something. I forgot something. You got your sticks in your pad, right?
It's they in the car.
We got sticks in your pad, man. You got to show us something, man, before you get off. I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing.
He was ready, though. He was ready.
He was ready, man. And he was like, "We got a snow blizzard out here, but they in the car."
Yeah, they are.
It's all right, man.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved the interview. I wish we could stay in touch, because I would love to, see what we could do in the future, even if it's outside of the college stuff, because I think that the next generation is totally open to what everybody wants to do, and it's our job to educate them, give them as much as possible. And I want to share this too. A lot of people think percussion in a certain box that do not understand music. The East Coast has a sound dealing with music. The West Coast has a sound dealing with music. The South has a sound dealing with music. Atlanta has a sound dealing with music.
Yeah.
Detroit, Motown has a sound dealing with music. It's the same thing in the drums.
Yes. Yeah.
It is the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. If you look at the pockets and the way people interpret how they section should look and sound, it's based on their culture.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, we actually came up with the sound and the style mixing Memphis and Detroit.
Okay.
Because I was living in Memphis, and I'm from Detroit. When I went to TSU, it was full of Detroit and Memphis folk, and we clashed together real well in the drum section. So that was it, you know. And now, as we start to integrate some people from Louisiana, we add a little bit different. Add a couple kids from Mississippi, we're adding something different. Yeah. You know, this coming up, what I'm doing presently now is recruiting kids specifically from Georgia and specifically from Mississippi, if I can. Deion Sanders is a problem. For a reason. Like, I'm trying to bring their flavor and add it, you know, as an added spice to what we're going to be doing in the future.
Okay.
You know, so that's how I really, you know, think about this stuff.
Yeah. That's good. You got a plan, you know. I mean, for all the future instructors, you know, got to have a plan, you know. And big props to you for, you know, having that plan. And you know, you're going to work on that plan, you know.
Yeah. So thank you once again for coming on, Cos. This has been a treat. And like I said, this was just talking about you and what great things you've done with your drumline, not only the drumline, but just your program as well there at Lane College.
Yes.
Well, I thank y'all for having me, man. I'm gonna look forward to coming back maybe one day and working with you guys. And I'm gonna go watch some of that old stuff. I really want to see what people were saying about that Virginia State Lane battle, because that is the most watched battle that we've had.
Yeah, us too. Yeah. For us too. Yeah.
Yes, it's our inaugural episode, man. Check it out, and some good things on there as well.
Okay.
You want to take us out, EP?
That's it, man. You know, you take care. You know, I know it's kind of the snow is hitting y'all, I think, right? Or the snow still hitting y'all? Is gone?
Yes, no, it's still here.
Oh wow. I was melted here, but you know, you be safe, stay warm, and take care of the family. You know, hopefully you do a future podcast, you know, in the future.
All right. So you guys, once again, thank you. And this is HBCU Drumline Talk. You have a good day. Have a good night as well.